Welcome to the Commentary Podcast. Just a quick disclaimer, none of these opinions reflect the greater Phillipian board, but are our own opinions. Today's episode focuses on Black art, the third part of a larger mini Black History Month series. I have three wonderful guests joining me tonight. Let's start with names, pronouns, where you are from off campus, and what Black History Month means to you.
I can start. Hi, my name's Ray. Pronouns are he, him. And I'm from Boston. And I guess Black History Month is like a month to express identity and culture in a historical sense rather than like a modern type of thing.
Hi, I'm Karla. I'm a senior. I use she, her, hers. I'm from Newark, New Jersey. And Black History Month to me is just celebrating everything that is Black history, Black people, Black art, Black music, etc.
Hi, I'm Daryn. I use she, her pronouns. I'm from Tampa Bay, Florida. I just to reiterate what they said, Black History Month is culture and also coming together as a community.
And I'm Micheal. I'm the host. And like Karla said, I believe Black History Month is a celebration period. And I think there's no better way to celebrate than to uplift and highlight Black art. So basically, the first question I have is, what is one example, everyone, and you can, ramble on and glaze, as they say, this example as much as you want. What is one example of Black art that you think is a shining example of Black excellence? I think, Joe Biden should make Black History Month into a Black History Year because of this piece of media, And why? How has this piece of media made an impact on society?
I guess this is like a cop-out answer, but Black music, I do music production privately. It's one of my hobbies. And I just think it's really cool, analyzing other musicians' music, other musicians who produce for themselves, and kind of just admiring or realizing their greatness in some of their production choices and quality. I just think the ability to produce music is really cool. Making something that someone else will genuinely love is so cool to me. And I think that's why I'm a huge music guy. I love music in general. The Black music is especially really amazing to me.
Who are some producers or artists you would say?
Okay, if I had to go so artists and producers are two different things. But if I had to say producers, Bryson Tiller, Party Next Door, and then I'll give you let's see. After that, maybe Giveon. Giveon didn't produce the same way the other two do. He takes a lot of inspiration from Frank Sinatra, which is kind of interesting, and his vocals and his melody-esque, his baritone voice. But Bryson Tiller is the sample god, in my opinion. The things he samples and changes is just beautiful. One time he sampled this opera, I think it was on Right My Wrongs, this opera singing this entire thing, puts a beat on it. It's beautiful. And then Party Next Door is Party Next Door. He's the household producer for Drake and all those other artists. So that's probably my top three, I guess.
Honestly, I was going to say music too, but this doesn't count as art, I would say, but more at least Black vernacular. I see that's so influential, just in the greater scheme of the world. A lot of people talk in at least African-American vernacular English. So I think that's a lot of people take that. It's a way to connect with people within the community. And I see it really widespread. So it's not it's a specific art form. I feel that's really impactful, at least from Black community.
I think adding on to that, I think especially during Black History Month, it's important for people who use African-American vernacular English to at the very least acknowledge where it's coming from. And especially if you don't fall under the category, because I'm a Twitter user and people on Twitter say things and I'm you are pretending to be Black. I think you are post a picture of who that is behind the screen. It's just whether or not they should be using that language. I feel that's a conversation that has kind of gotten out beyond that's beyond my control. People are going to continue using it. So it's at the very least, at the very minimum, please recognize where that stems from. Yeah.
For me, I would have to say dance, Black dance, and just especially hip hop and Afro-Caribbean type dances, especially with groups like Fusion and Hypno on campus. And I feel the ties that both of those groups have to a lot of Black history, and whether that's American Black history or African and Caribbean Black history, I have a huge appreciation for dance, and I feel like it's a great way to bring people together. Like whether you do it competitively or just for fun, it's just a great way to like. And it also ties into like music. I think it's a great way to build a community.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I know you mentioned fusion and hypno, but for me, like slam too. I know like that type of music, like cheerleading, takes place from like majorette type of like dancing and cheered. I do sometimes like wish they'd take more inspiration from like majorette like cheer. Again, if they think something's good, it's probably good. I don't know, but I do think slam is one of like the coolest groups on campus to be doing.
That was awesome. Yeah. I think for me, I also like I have such a special connection to music, and so when I think about Black artists' contributions to music, for one artist that comes to mind is Victoria Monet. Like just her own her own released music, but also her own like when you look at like Wikipedia and you look at songs Victoria Monet like has even touched, like, and you drop down folder of like goes on and on and on and on. And number 1 for 7 weeks, number 1 for 10 weeks. It's insane. And like I just like I respect her so much because of that. And I think like she won Best New Artist at the Grammys recently, and I was like, go get your award in that gorgeous dress and go give your speech and just have your moment because you really deserve it. So that would
I really appreciate like her like range. Like sometimes when I go on Spotify, like I'll just put on a random artist, be like, who's this? And then like I'll like shuffle their playlist of just their music. And it's like we're going from how did that make you feel to like Oh My Mama or something. It's like, well, these are like completely different songs, but like completely different flows. Like she's one of those artists that isn't just held down by a genre, you know. You can't define her, and that's just really cool to me.
adding on to that, this isn't about Victoria, but just about this versatility in music. I recently watched, because I wrote a Phillipian article about SZA, album of the year and losing album of the year, and Midnight's Taylor Swift. So I wrote an article about that for commentary, and I, in just doing research for that article and doing research about SOS and the process it took to create that record, like SZA was like, I'm not an R&B artist, and I'm not saying that to the platform R&B artists who classify themselves as R&B, but I think like what she wanted to do in that record and what she wants to do as she continues music is just make music. Like her background is like dad rock from her father and like all these different things that she did, and it was just like that is just talent to magically, like, your soul escapes from like your body and it assumes this other genre, and it like just to fold that into your music, it's so impressive. It's so like I respect that so much. So like that comment, Ray, made me think of that. So yeah. So what are the barriers or some barriers that Black people seeking success in their art forms must overcome? And sometimes like because of the size of the barrier, because of extraneous circumstances, it prevents them from overcoming that barrier.
Kind of like the idea that you as a Black person kind of have to be accepted into certain spaces like at all. Like my brother is a really good football player. Like he's like D2 at the moment. He's trying to go D1. And I've been telling him for so long, like, let's go to Andover. Because like the programs here are so amazing. But there's always kind of that fear that he won't be good enough for a primarily white space that holds him back in his respective art form, which is sports. And I think, if we continue to let like the fear of being rejected by people who aren't like us or like, the majority to conquer us and overcome us rather than us overcome them, it kind of becomes a problem of that's how these condensed like spaces of Black talent exist, because black talent is pretty much everywhere. But if we are too scared as a community to bring it to everyone, then it's not going to matter, because if the majority doesn't recognize our talent, pretty much who is.
When I think of like media and I think of like movies, for example, a lot of the time I think of a Black movie, a Black-based movie, it's a lot of like Black trauma. And I think the media really pushes forth like this idea that can only ever discuss like Black trauma. I feel like we need to break a boundary and like show like Black joy and other aspects of being Black other than just this like kind of traumatic box, which are very important to talk about, just like the history and the context. But also like, I don't know, sometimes I do want to watch a movie and it's not so like movie like talk about slavery for the 15th time. Like I want something that I'm able to connect with, but also not have to like really feel heavy on my chest, like in the sense of like reiterating the same lessons or experiences you have growing up, like as a Black person in America at least. So
That's such a great point. I think an example that comes to mind, not necessarily about the experience of being Black and not necessarily about like slavery, but I think about like queer representation in the media. I remember back to Taylor Swift. And I want to put on record, I love Taylor Swift. This is not Taylor Swift smack cam. Like, I remember little old, like, 7th or 6th, I was not 6th grade, or 5th grade me watching Taylor Swift's music video, You Need to Calm Down. And it was supposed to be, like, her big, like, yes, the gays. Just this big manifesto. And it was, like she had, like, Todrick Hall, and she had guys with their nails painted, and she had all these different things. And I think I remember sitting there and I was like, I don't really know, like, I don't like painting my nails and I don't like wear dresses. And that's not because I am trying to demean those things, but I think that, again, like, You Need to Calm Down as a music video is as a form of media. And it's like, she could have had such a wide range in this creative space, but it's like, then the messaging comes across that all gay people should love RuPaul's Drag Race. I love RuPaul's Drag Race, but I know that there are some who don't. Then it's like, all these people, this is their experience, this is their lived experience, when really it's like being queer doesn't define anything about the way you grow up, the same way being Black doesn't define anything about the way you grow up. And so it shouldn't be like that every single piece of media that's ever put out about a Black main character has to be about like, oh, well, she was in shackles until the Emancipation Proclamation. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
And like to kind of like rewind all the way back to Daryn, like what Michael just said. Sometimes when they do Black joy, like they kind of like throw it in your face at like, this is joy and she's Black. Like, well, why not just like, the example I always say is like, name me a movie about a mixed couple, like a romance movie about a mixed couple, where one of the plot points isn't that they're mixed, or they're not just mixed because like they're not just side characters who are mixed, to like throw that in there as representation. Like, it's hard to find joy where it's like just joy, you know, like Black joy is joy. And I think some media and content creators don't seem to understand that, like still kind of grappling with the fact that not everything Black has to be Black. There's no reason to throw in my face that this person's Black when I can look at them and be like, wow, they're Black, you know, like, I don't know.
Did y'all see that trailer about that new movie, like the Secret Society of Magical Negroes? Did y'all see that? I thought I was losing my mind in the movie.
Yeah, that's getting searched up.
yeah, I'm pulling out my phone right now. It's the Secret Society of
Black people whose their entire job is to not inconvenience white people. And I don't even know who the movie is for.
Is it like satirical? Or is it just
No, I see this on IMDb.
the American Society of Magic?
A young man, Aaron, is recruited into a secret society of magical Black people who dedicate their lives to a cause of utmost importance, making white people's lives easier.
Fun.
Yeah, I don't. Oh,
No, it's not even satirical. Wow, that is interesting.
in the theaters before I watched The Color Purple. That did.
Oh, yeah. What?
I'm sorry.
What was the response in the movie theater?
It was just empty because it's just my family and one of their friends. And I think I remember looking at the other family. We're all like, did we all see this trailer?
What in the world? But yeah,
What is The Color Purple? Like, is that
it was a musical. I don't know. It wasn't a book.
I don't know. It was a book. I know they had a movie that Oprah Winfrey was in, and then they made a new musical. There was a musical, then they made
On Broadway.
out of the
A movie out.
Yeah.
Well, the same way they did Mean Girls. Like, they had it. Mean Girls the movie, Mean Girls the musical, Mean Girls the movie musical. But yeah. How can we support Black artists as they navigate primarily white, homogenous industries?
I guess like I don't know, just supporting them. Like it's always like helpful to know that like my community is like has my back. Like I know like if something went wrong and heaven forbid, like I am like ever in trouble, like I have my family, I have my friends, I like have people who will be by my side. And I think if we as a Black community, you know, work to kind of replicate that effect on a mass scale, everything just gets a little bit easier. You know? That's the big things.
And I think like kind of tying into the last question about barriers, I feel like a barrier that exists with a lot of students and like also student athletes and PWIs, it'll be like as a Black man, you're expected to play basketball or football, and if you don't do that, you're like different, you're not really accepted. And sometimes the Black community will attack you for that too and call you whitewashed. So I feel like as a community, it's important to support each other in our choices and our different interests, because it's important for us to branch out and not all, you know, fit into the stereotype every time. It's better, honestly, if we spread out and show the world like what we're good at.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I feel like being Black should be like its circle in a Venn diagram. And it's like someone else might like be in part of that circle and also be a part of like a different circle. And like, you know, people fall into different things. And so it shouldn't be that like you should own to be purely Black. You should be XYZ and blah, blah, blah. Like, I agree. I also think another way to support Black artists is, I'm not even sure how to best describe this, but I remember Zendaya once said in an interview, she was like, Hollywood needs to stop casting me for every Black role. Because it's like after No Way Home, and then like there was this movie where she was dating two guys, and I love seeing that one on my screen. So I have no problem with how many movies she's on. But I understand what she means when she says like there is so much Black talent out there, and it's like you're becoming comfortable with me as the idea of what a Black role must look like in a movie, and so her using her position of power because people will listen. She's Zendaya. Everyone will listen. Her using that position to advocate for, you know, Hollywood to, you know, branch out and open casting calls and all these things like is such a great way to, I think, push like these industries into a direction of like just appreciating Black talent.
I think, like you said, like Zendaya, of course, like amazing art, like amazing actor. Like I think I've seen her in like 5 different, I don't know. She's just everywhere. But I think it's also hard because like the way Hollywood works in a way, I guess, is like when you know someone's good at something, you're gonna want them, right? And like we said, we know Zendaya's a great actor. So I think Hollywood often does kind of go cop out like, oh, we need like a Black actor. Who's the best one we know? Zendaya. Instead of taking a chance on maybe these lesser known actors who probably would do like a way better job at like something than Zendaya would. Like my favorite Black actor is probably Quinta Brunson at the moment. She is the creator of Abbott Elementary and the main star. She's Janine. And like she was already pretty well known, but when ABC gave her her own show, that was a risk because they had other Black writers who very much easily, they could have just said, hey, write a show about elementary school teachers. But Quinta like took this, made it her own, part of her personality, her home life, like what Philadelphia was, into it. And I think you can feel that when watching the show, which is exactly why, like, you know, we sometimes just have to like take a chance on, you know, our community and, you know, trust someone who might not be as experienced as something to, you know, give it their best shot.
Yeah, because like once upon a time, Zendaya was on Shake It Up on Disney Channel, airing every week. So it's like, you know, everyone starts somewhere. Thank you guys for joining us tonight, and thank you to our listeners for tuning in. That's a wrap.